Hey there, YouTube. So in this video, I wanted to talk about what happens when you receive an IRS CP180 notice, right? So a CP180 notice, short and simple, it's issued to you as a taxpayer if you filed a tax return and you failed to include a required form or schedule that the IRS was able to pick up on based on other information you submitted. Okay, so most of these reviews do occur automatically. So when the return is paper filed or electronically filed, the system runs through the information that was submitted. It kind of cross-checks it against third-party information. And if they discover something that you missed, then they send you this notice. So in this example, I have just one slide here, one example of where you might get a CP180 notice. We have Jack here. He's a U.S. citizen, and he's living and working in Miami, Florida. Now, Jack's in Miami, and he decides to open a brokerage account and invest in some dividend-paying stocks, right? So during 2020, after he invested in all these stocks, he received $1,600 in U.S. source dividend income, and then he also got $50 in interest income, right? Both of these income items were deposited into his brokerage account. And at the end of the year, the broker reported these amounts on the annual consolidated 1099, which a copy goes to Jack, and then a copy gets sent to the IRS, right? The broker has to report this information to the IRS. So at the end of the year, Jack prepared his own 1040 tax return. And then on page 1 of the Form 1040, Jack entered the $1,600 of ordinary dividend income into line 3B. And then he put in $50 of taxable interest income into line 2B. Okay. Now, Jack included all this income into his taxable income, and he did pay all required federal income taxes on the earnings. So Jack filed his return. But then he still received the CP180 notice, right? What did he do wrong? Well, where Jack went wrong was he failed to include the Schedule B with his Form 1040. Okay, so let's look at the IRS Form 1040 Schedule B requirements. Two examples. There's a number of variables that could trigger this obligation, but these are the two most common. So you need to file Schedule B with your 1040 if you had interest and dividend income over $1,500 during the year. The second most common example is if you had a financial interest in or a signature authority over a foreign financial account, so a foreign bank account, or you had an ownership interest in a foreign trust. So the first point here is where Jack messed up. Right, so he had over $1,500 worth of dividends and interest, but he only reported it on page 1. He didn't include Schedule B, and so that's where the CP180 notice was triggered and sent to Jack. Okay, so this is very common, right? I mean, if Jack paper filed this return, so if he just completed it himself, filled out the PDFs, he might not have known that he had this Schedule B requirement. If you prepare your tax return electronically using a tax preparation software, oftentimes it should tell you that you have a Schedule B requirement. It might give you a warning or a diagnostic, but you can also suppress it. So it's possible to file electronically and still miss this. But the idea here is Schedule B, the IRS wants to have a breakout of all the interest and dividend items, so they want more detail. They don't want just these lump sum amounts. And then also in Part 3 of the Schedule B, if you look at it, there's some additional questions about your ownership interest in financial accounts, your ownership interest in foreign trusts. So if you have this $1,500 threshold, you got to complete the whole form. So the entire Schedule B, Part 1, 2, and 3 have to be completed, so you've got to answer those questions. So, yeah, so that covers it. I mean, the CP180 notice, this is one example. This can happen across a variety of omissions, depending on what form or schedule you're missing. But this is an example where you can actually do what you think is everything right? Jack, he reported the income, he paid the tax, but nevertheless, the IRS still sent him a notice saying he didn't do everything he was supposed to. So make sure you get all the schedules and forms you need to on your returns. That'll help avoid these CP180 notices. So that covers it. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment below. Happy to answer any I can. And I look forward to seeing you again on the next video. Thank you.